Hello, and welcome to Dice Punks, a tabletop role-playing podcast where we focus on playing full campaigns in less well-known systems. This week in episode 29, two newly minted nobilis and a newly self-aware nobilis try to figure out their next steps as the desert encroaches on Taraxis. Hello and welcome. I'm Adam, your friendly neighborhood game master, and joining me are...
Hey, I'm Drew, and I'll be playing Leorian Cathar, first-time visitor to Fermata. I think it's a real nice place, and I expect I'll be back. Oh, I should also mention I'm the Baron of Tempo. Sorry, that's important too.
Hi, I'm Robin, and I'll be playing She of the Righteous Rage, Deliverer of Divine Darkness, the Furious Queen Mavia.
Hi, I'm Dez, and I'll be playing Romnet, some guy who recently picked up a knife.
An accurate description. Thank you. So before we get started, one of our characters has grown a lot, but we won't necessarily be looking at that in depth. Is anybody spending any XP on anything? And Romnet, you still get your XP bonus roll.
Let me get my dice out. On Friday, I played a different game that required D6s. So, those are all what's in the top of my dice bag. We were goats crashing a party. The game was aptly called Goat Crashers.
Well, you know, the famous quote.
Right.
Paratens. That gets me
As the
a
poet
mortal
goes.
XP.
All right.
Nice.
You may have your mortal XP.
I actually, there's something that I realized you and I forgot to talk about, Adam, that in the spirit of actual play, maybe I could blindside you with on air. We had a good talk about what did and did not come over from Dusk to Leorian. And I think the one thing that was still a maybe was whether XP carried over.
Oh, right.
At the time of Dusk's ascension, he had 3 divine XP and 3 mortal XP. So I didn't know if Leorian had either of those.
I think I'm going to rule that the divine XP can carry over. The mortal XP is, you know, Dusk's like body and experiences and stuff. So
it's reasonable.
Yeah, you can have those 3 divine XP. I remember you bringing it up now, but I had not thought about it since you first brought it up.
This is cool
Sorry.
because now the
That's
listener
on me.
knows too.
I'm just like, my mind was hit by, you know, Dusk going, this is my body, take, eat, etc.
I picture that going a little bit more like Dusk saying, "This is my body. What are you doing with that? Give it back."
Yes.
Accurate.
So
Hallowed be his babble.
Is it a problem that I've started using DOS damned in day-to-day conversation?
It's a problem that I'm deeply honored. But,
I would say it's the opposite of a problem.
yeah. Sounds like a good solution, actually.
Yeah. I think that leads us into our recap from last time, which is on Romnet's shoulders this time.
Yes. So, afterward, I left the manor. I wandered aimless through the post-battle city and found myself heading down towards the gates. Well, one of the gates. Outside, a thing inhabiting the body I knew to be Lissa, well, the body was Lissa, the thing was not, was surveying her work and was well pleased. I found myself in the gatehouse instructing a guard there to open the gates for her, and that happened, although I had to close them myself behind. And I trailed Lissa's other through the city as she found pinpricks and points of fury and increased them to her satisfaction. We made our way, one after the other, to the docks, where, well, they had been ravaged. They had borne the brunt of the assault out of the ocean because there had been no guard there. And of course, a city of trade that left its docks undefended is not holding the appropriate priorities. Mavia's talents whipped up a mob, and I allowed her to stoke that same fury in me. And so we marched up the hill toward the houses of those responsible, and we came upon Lyd Manor, and the gate did not bar our way. Mavia had a conversation with Ilari that resulted in the extinction of her grandmother's fury. She will never feel it again. Meanwhile, the mob retrieved Croesus Tyr, and we bore him toward the council building, where it was likely that he would not survive. We had a chat. He got a reprieve. And then someone else appeared. Dosk's first noble, Leorian, Duke of Tempo. There were introductions and a great deal of Doskly prolixity. And then we found ourselves, as the darkness poured out of Mavia's mouth. Informata and Leorian joined us. The acolytes were waiting for us, and the statues were changed, as happens. Mavia had an encounter with Kea, who let it be known that she would be waiting. As we made our way to the manifestation, I directed that a Timothy take Leorian to quarters. We were showing him hospitality. It's the least I could do for Dosk. And then Mavia and I were in the manifestation, and then in the heart of the chancel, where Mavia was praised for having done very well, and given darkness as her reward. Well, given a choice among several, but darkness was what she chose. And before I was given permission or not, I took the knife that symbolizes murder. And then I woke up this morning and there is coffee to be had.
We'll rejoin our action
Before we do,
upon...
super minor correction just for the listener.
Mm.
Unless I got a promotion, which would be amazing. I am not a duke, at least not yet. I am but a baron.
Apologies.
At the moment. Hey, you gave me a little bit of false hope, but I believe I'll get there, so it's okay.
I think you can.
I think you can. Believe in me who believes in you.
I believe in you believing in me.
Boy, those are some streams to cross. In any case, we're actually going to rejoin first Mavia. You are in the heart of the chancel. You have received your new estate. You have received some praise and some instruction from Mott. Your most urgent task awaits in the Vales, something that you seemed not too terribly miffed to hear. Just, if my understatement can fly. And you are dimly aware that Ramnet, who was here, is not here. Other than that, just you and the well and the two-headed snake. Dosk's little nook, gone as though it never was.
Am I aware that my dark progenitor has promoted Dosk? Or, excuse me, Ramnet.
I'm going to rule that yes. I mean, you did see Ramnet approach the well, grasp something, and then sort of flash might be the wrong word, but grow in your perception. But even if you hadn't, you would probably be aware, tuned in as you are to your own shard of fury, that another shard has been given out, and you are a rational enough being to put two and two together.
So he was here, and then he was not. I at least have the common sense to know that whatever task awaits me should be done with my newfound brother. But this place has my curiosity. So I think I want to walk the streets and maybe do a very small divination on darkness to test my new domain. I believe it's a level 0, and I am that at this point.
Yeah, you can do level 0 divinations to get extremely like basic information about your domain, knowing about trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing akin to that pain and fury that Lissa felt when the Law of Serenity took effect in Diamakor.
I felt it too.
And there's nothing that feels like an attack even, but there are places as though you were looking at a great blanket of darkness spreading out before you where it's more threadbare than others. One of those seems to come somewhere from the north, another somewhere to the southeast, and there's something, though it is hard to tell what, very, very far to the north that is affecting darkness. But as a whole, your estate of darkness is actually doing quite well, especially here in Fermata, and to a lesser degree in Traxxas and what you know now to be Diamakor. The fabric seems whole and strong, and nothing threatens the cloth as a whole.
I'm curious about those threadbare portions, particularly the ones to the north. I'll probably I will go to the nearest area in the north that seems a little threadbare when it comes to darkness, and take in this city as I walk.
So when I say to the north, I mean like well to the north. Not north in the city.
Not north in the
north
city.
North in the world.
Oh, I misunderstood. I thought it was in the city.
No, I was giving you information about your estate.
Excellent. Okay. Well, I'm not going to walk north. Is there anything in Fermata in particular where darkness seems to be iffy?
That is a very good
warped
question. And as I am wont to do, I am going to have you combine a mortal roll with this. Now, for our purposes, the biggest difference between Mavia and Lissa bodily is that Mavia has an aspect of 1.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the actual mechanics of mind and body, they're using the same meat. So I feel that the rule is going to be, if I am asking for a roll, we'll use Lissa's same stats for Mavia, unless you decide to use an aspect miracle on it, which is fair game. I am counting on the role-playing aspects here of whether to determine whether or not Mavia would use a miracle on a thing. And so I leave that in your hands. So, in this case, a sense plus empathy roll for 3 dice to interpret some of what you see here.
I got 2 3s.
Nice.
Marvelous.
Succeeded at a sense roll.
Darkness in the city is thick and rich and healthy, but there's something about it. It's local, but there seems to be one place where it's not like the weave of darkness is threadbare. It's more like someone or something is plucking at it. It's not done damage. It's just, it's noticeable, is all. And
Is that within walking distance?
it certainly is. The city is not geographically easy to conceptualize, but keeping this location fixed in your mind, you certainly can arrive at it. As you walk, the denizens of the city acknowledge you respectfully. Very few courtly, deep bows, but certainly respectful parting of crowds and nodding of heads, tipping of hats. They don't seem disconcerted, which is as nice or as disappointing as you want it to be, I suppose.
They don't matter to me.
We will rejoin you when you reach your destination. In the meantime, Leorian, when last we left you, you were singing to an acolyte in the manner to which they had led you in an attempt to get some sort of information from the acolyte about the woman who had introduced herself as Mayor Ravine Philomel of Fermata before beating a hasty retreat. I don't know what your maximum time that you will keep this up is, but after you finished the song you had begun to sing in the first place, there has been no response. The acolyte has regarded you attentively, but without any seeming appreciation or comprehension.
I think my next move is to go back downstairs. This bed is really uncomfortable, but I don't want to be rude, so I haven't said anything about it. And I ask for something to eat, but I insist that for everything they bring me, the Timothys, I think they were called. I haven't figured out which one is Timothy, so I'm just going to call them all Timothy and see who responds. I hope that's not rude either. I insist that for everything they bring me, they bring an equal portion for themselves.
Wordlessly, the acolyte you're speaking to bows, walks out, comes back moments later with a fellow and two uncannily identical plates of food. Some sort of fowl, some sort of roasted vegetable, and some jam or jelly, all kind of on the plate. Some bread. Not only is it the same things on each plate, they are in the same relative positions, at the same angles, the exact same size and portions. It even looks like the vegetables are arranged the same way. They put the plates down on the table. Then, after a beat, the two acolytes look at each other, look back at you. One of them bows and leaves, and the other one, very slowly, though without any sense of timidity, sits down in the vicinity of the other plate.
I sort of break a leg off of the fowl and vaguely toast the acolyte with it and take a bite, making deep eye contact as I do, as if to say, your turn.
The acolyte seated across from you maintains eye contact, but otherwise does not react in any way, shape, or form. Does not blink. In fact, you aren't sure you've seen one of them blink.
Are we trying to domesticate the Timothys?
I think that's what's happening.
I think I say, you're a good egg, Timothy, and I think I can crack your shell yet, thick and dark with propriety though it may be. This is great. Do you grow all this, raise it down here? Are we down?
The acolyte slowly cocks their head very, very slightly in your direction and then says, all victuals are provided by the Obsidian God. By the Obsidian God's generosity and largesse. The acolytes are merely the instrument of its delivery. Is it to your satisfaction, honored visitor?
Tremendously, tremendously. Oh, and it's a devotional besides. I too walk a godly path, and without the acolyte asking at all, I probably tell the entire story of my commencement. Soup to nuts.
The acolyte regards you impassively the entire time, unmoving, unblinking. Probably reads to Leorian as rapt attention, if I'm guessing right.
Oh yeah, no, and there's probably additional musical numbers added into the story at this point, so this probably consumes some time.
Sure. Maybe. Yeah. At length, you arrive. This city, you have not paid particular attention to its organization, to its layout, but you did have to walk into a canal at one point and come out the other side. That was pretty notable. And you're now on a very quiet street that doesn't seem trafficked very much. There are a couple of lights on and windows that don't spill out very much into the road. And you're standing in front of the house, the mansion, really, that your divination has led you to. There's no particular sign of activity. In fact, there aren't evidently any lights burning anywhere within it.
I try to go into the house.
All right. You walk up the steps. You open the door. It's not locked. Doesn't seem to have a lock on it. You walk in to the sort of foyer, and it's unfurnished. No chairs, no carpets, no decorations, no nothing. Empty. Cavernously so, as it is, like almost all the other buildings, is made entirely out of obsidian with minimal wooden accents where necessary. Floor, mostly. I'm going to make a roll.
That's always
Yeah.
a bit dangerous.
Always reassuring.
I, for one, am not worried at all.
I mean, it's better than him asking what everyone's perception is, so he can roll.
Which
for
hand
us.
do you break off the chicken leg with? Yeah.
That is a favorite go-to move of mine, I'll be honest. So, you are in the entryway. What now?
Start skulking about, trying to figure out what had pinged on my divine radar, as it were.
Guided by your divination, you got here just fine, but now that you're here, there doesn't seem to be much to see, and you're not getting any change in guidance from your estate-driven divination. You case most of the first floor somewhat impatiently, because you know there's something going on here, or there has to be some kind of evidence somewhere. But nothing is really presenting itself. And then you just barely feel it. A little ping on the edges of your Octoritas. It's gone as quickly as it was there. And it's not like it came from any particular direction. But you know that something just tried a miracle on you. A weak one.
Can I do a lesser divination of realm and learn if there are other miraculous entities within my vicinity?
So, short answer, yes. Slightly longer answer, that is a level 2 miracle, which your realm is 2, so are you adding any penetration to that in order to detect anything with an Octoritas stronger than 0?
Oh, okay.
This was something we learned about with the Certain Nobilis that I am going to fiat that Mavia can know instinctually after Lissa's relatively fraught education in it.
So it pinged on my Octoritas. My thinking is that because I have a spirit of 2, that means presumably it can be no stronger than 1. So would that require 1 point or 2 points for penetration?
Well, mechanically speaking, the miracle having been weak has no bearing on the Octoritas that might have been at play on the miraculous entity that used the miracle, right? You have
True.
a spirit of 2, but you can use a miracle with 0 penetration.
That's true. Okay. I am going to go ahead and, well, I actually have a surplus of realm right now. So I'll spin big and go 3 because this seems important.
All right. And so the specific question is, are there any other beings of the miraculous nature in your vicinity?
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you use this miracle, you are aware of 2 entities very close by. You don't have exact, 10 feet away at 3 o'clock, but they're not far. One is unusually diffuse and seems to have no auctoritas to speak of. The other one, however, is an individual and does have a, notable enough auctoritas. In fact, as you focus on that presence, it's a very strong auctoritas. In fact, you only are detecting this particular entity through your divination with 3 penetration because you caught them off guard. As soon as you perceive them, they disappear, which you assume means that they have marshaled their defenses.
Mm-hmm. I respond in kind. And try to make myself less obvious. And once again, it strikes me that if they have a strong auctoritas, as much as I would love to rip into them, may not be possible without my brother. So can I pursue the diffuse miraculous entity?
It's not moving. It's close somewhere, but not in a specific place, and it is not reacted at all.
Since I don't have a specific location for this, I'm probably going to do another cursory divination of realm. I won't add any penetration since this, whatever this is, doesn't seem to have an auctoritas. And see if I could get a stronger sense of where it is, I guess, for lack of a better description.
Sure. You focus in on it with a specified miracle here, and you have a sense that you are maybe inside its auctoritas. You also are distracted, though, by having a sense, now that you are focusing on it, of deep, profound, nigh upon endless fury, a significant portion of it directed at you.
You just dangled a steak in front of my mouth. Goodness. I'm checking my domain miracles here. Would destroying its fury at me constitute a lesser divination or lesser destruction for 5?
Lesser destruction for 5 would, in a local sense, both spatially and temporally, remove the fury. You're going for a major destruction if you're trying to, delete fury from this thing. If you're trying to cancel some portion of it for some amount of time, that's your level 5.
I will go ahead and go for the level 5 version of that since, I'm sensing that my reservoir as it is kind of emptying out. And just, temporarily put a hold on its fury because I can.
You feel it. Maybe the spiritual equivalent of like stumbling when you expect there to be another step in a staircase that isn't there. It comes up short, and the sense of it just kind of fades away. It's not necessarily as though it was never there, but as though it has departed.
Okay. I don't imagine that Mavia knows where the manor is. Or
No,
where Lissa's room is.
But you probably know or can know pretty easily where Leorian is, or where Ramnet is, for that matter. Assuming Ramnet is anywhere by now, which I'd have to do some math to figure out.
I'm probably going to head to where Ramnet is. And regardless of whether or not he is currently in the state of being, I'm going to try to write down notes on what I just discovered.
Interesting.
I want to be creative with it, though, because I don't think maybe it's just going to leave like a nice handwritten letter.
Yeah. You make your way.
Just like, don't carve it into my kitchen countertop or anything, please.
I suppose we'll see. You make your way, guided more or less by instinct, to what you assume without second thought is Ramnet's place of residence. You could believe it. And go to leave a note, as it doesn't seem that he is in evidence yet. How do you leave word?
What are some objects I see around me? Your favorite question.
So you have walked in through sort of the entryway to the kitchen. You see there is an obsidian countertop. There is a wooden table with some wooden chairs. There are an assortment of cups and mugs. Some cabinets.
It's absolutely getting carved into your countertop.
At least do the cabinet. It's easier to replace.
And then they require... I mean, I could reach them, but they're not as much of a level surface.
So, do you want to give the gist of what you write, or are we just maybe a speak for what you have encountered and leave it at that?
It'll be... So I'll describe that there is someone with a powerful Octoritas in Fermata. So probably just put it powerful Octoritas Fermata. Also, weakened miraculous entity, angry, and house. And then I roughly describe where the house is.
That's probably the most precise part of this thing, because, you don't have, like, in this neighborhood, but, you basically put, quiet side of the canals, and then brief, sort of description of where to find it. And looking at your handiwork, you nod, satisfied.
And you see that it is
that
good.
During... Exactly. See that sometime during all of this, an acolyte has come in from the street and is standing there, kind of arms in their sleeves, waiting on you. When you perceive the acolyte is there, they bow.
I stare at them.
Once they've straightened up again, they say, "Furious Queen, please accompany me to the manse. The guest is troublesome."
I follow the acolyte without responding.
Sure, yeah, the acolyte is perfectly comfortable with a lack of response. Acolyte is perfectly comfortable without response, and leads you directly to the Mance, straight up into the door, no announcement, no knock. Leorian, what do they find in the dining hall just on the other side of the entryway?
There's probably a great deal of food on the table. We've not covered up the handprints because I think they're important. I've already asked the acolytes if they belong to someone famous, and I assume not gotten an answer.
No.
Currently, I'm trying to crack their shell with the power of death metal. I just know the one song, so it's probably that over and over. I'm probably adding my own verses, though.
Very well. The acolyte seated across the table from you has dutifully answered factual questions to which they seem to know the answer. Often in more than minimal detail, but nothing going on for too long, and otherwise has sat staring at you impassively in pretty much exactly the same fashion throughout. So
I'm going to say I'm convinced I'm making progress.
It's a shame then that you don't really see, as the other acolyte brings Mavia in, that the expression that the acolyte gives to Mavia upon beholding this scene has a ghost of like a pained grimace in it. Mavia may or may not notice it. Leorian almost certainly would had he been looking, but you are caught up in your performance of the, I'm going to go with like 7th verse of this song. As maybe it comes in. Maybe for your part, you are gratified to hear that your theme song is getting more airplay, but otherwise your response is up to you.
I probably smile a deranged, teethy, inky black smile at Leorian upon hearing my song play. And, bearing myself over with my tentacles, I take a seat across from him, likely jostling the other acolyte fully out of the way, not paying attention to them.
I do love an appreciative audience, so I extrapolate an interlude, a breakdown, you might call it. It's probably the first time anyone has ever strummed a lute in the pattern of digga-da-digga-da-da, digga-da-digga-da-da.
Neither of you particularly noticed the displaced acolyte scrambling away faster than you've ever seen them move before, out of the room entirely. Both acolytes are gone by the time either of you looks around again. And
there's still food on the table, right?
There is a lot of food on the table.
I realize that my mortal body hungers, and it takes me a beat and staring at the food for a moment. Actually, a few times. My eyes keep gravitating back to the plates, and then back up to the music, and then back to the plates before I finally understand what's going on, and I just start shoveling it unceremoniously into my unhinged jaw.
Jesus.
Barely bothering to chew.
Leorian, you feel that you may have lost the rapt attention of this audience.
That's fair. I wind it up with dignity and not without pomp. And then I'm honestly happy to be eating with someone, so I continue eating myself. Though I probably pick at the margins with less fervor than Mavia because I'm not coming in fresh, and also I'm not Mavia.
Right.
Plates are breaking.
which is less impressive for the obsidian plates, but relatively impressive for the pewter ones. So, presumably, Leorian, you make some attempts at conversation during this. Whether we want to track them or not depends entirely upon whether there's anything pressing that you wish to inquire or mention.
I think I asked how it went because I don't know the details, but I know something important has just transpired.
My grin becomes somehow wider. Almost to the point that it's preternaturally wide and filled with horrible, sharp teeth frothing with shadows. And I lean forward with some food just falling out of my maw, and I say, "Well."
I wipe my hands thoroughly and start playing death metal again. I can't explain why, but I have to.
And so some time passes. Presumably there comes a point at which the two of you turn in for the evening. It's tragic because if Lissa were here, she could tell you that there is a bed with a mattress on it. But I don't know that Mavia will think to.
I think Mavia just perches on the rooftop like a gargoyle to rest.
I think I lay out my coat on the obsidian mattress like a bedroll, that being the best I can do. I've slept rough before. This isn't the worst, though it's probably up there, down there.
Well, and again, the bed does not have a mattress, but it does have a blanket. So you can
Sure.
fold the blanket up underneath you, use your coat as a blanket. But it's not the roughest you've slept.
I make do, and I probably end up rolled up in all of the above.
I think so. Especially since the bed seems to be approximately an acre. The night passes. Jordan, you wake up as described, tangled in everything. Mavia, you wake up sprawled on the roof. Just limbs and tentacles akimbo, drool coming down one side of your face.
Can I say that some of the tendrils are draped off of the roof like demented Christmas garland?
Absolutely. You certainly fell asleep perched like a gargoyle, but Mavia is nothing if not chaotic, even in sleep. Rumnet, you don't immediately realize it, but when you wake from the dreams we ended on last time, you wake smiling.
Of course I do.
In your own bed.
Excellent. I get up.
And
I make
so,
coffee.
yeah, we will... Yes.
Can we lose some shock damage?
Certainly, yes. You all of your shock damage goes away. And any
Yay.
killing, 1 point of killing, if you have any, can turn to shock. That is what resting does.
This was not, however, enough of a rest to get miracle points back, right?
No, those come back after an extended period. Generally, it has to be in your chancel. Though that is not a hard requirement.
I figured that was the answer, but I figured it bared on-air repeating since it hasn't come up in a while.
Indeed. So we rejoin the morning with Romnet, getting up, walking into his kitchen, making coffee, drinking coffee,
Staring
and
in
only
horror
then
in my
noticing the
counter.
state of your countertop. Yeah. There is a message there from Mavia, describing her adventures yesterday. There comes a relatively gentle knock at the door, followed by the door opening and an acolyte entering. The acolyte bows and says, "My lord, when you have finished your morning beverages, you may wish to accompany me to the manse."
Thank you. At some point,
The acolyte bows again.
when it is not inconvenient, Timothy, could the kitchen counter be replaced and possibly furnished with something on which Mavia might write in the future?
The acolyte bows again and says, "It shall be done, my lord."
Thank you. I will finish my coffee, and as I am doing so, I will take an opportunity to reach out with the sight and do a divination on the murders in the chancel.
Indeed. So what specifically is your question, and what version of divination are you doing here?
I am doing a domain divination. I don't know that I can do a greater divination without expending miracle points.
You would need 1 miracle point to do a major divination, but you can do a lesser divination for free.
Yeah, I'll do a lesser divination. Would adding penetration to that be free as well? Up to some number of points, or is
You could.
penetration Always points.
You could add 2 penetration for free.
Let's do that for free, because why not?
Sure.
An inquiry into the state of murders in the chancel, generally.
Murders in the chancel generally. Okay. Let me get from you a 7-die pool for sense plus eerie.
Need actually another die. There we go. Pair of 10s.
All right. There are, as a rule, few to no murders in Fermata on a given day. It's not perfectly unheard of, but given the size of the city, it is somewhat unusual. Relatively orderly place. People don't kill each other for, crime, really. The murders that there are the occasional crime of passion. Maybe a couple of, honor duels in the history of the city. Overshadowing them all, though, are 100 murders that are happening right now. And now. And now. Same 100. Always happening. And in fact, a moderate change of perspective in your divination will reveal them to have always been happening. At least, always in Fermata. But more than that, with that roll, you know who committed these murders.
Oh, do tell.
Or rather...
What?
Your divination tells you that you committed these murders.
I'd like to do a follow-up divination to inquire who I murdered.
Can I really just quickly point this is table talk, I know, but Robin's first question was very different from Dessa's first question.
It really was.
There are no identities there anymore. They have been obliterated. The question of who is irrelevant. There isn't an answer. They are just the murders. The ones that apparently you committed.
Today I learned something about myself.
Today I learned that I am a murderer.
Mode of doing so? How did I make them eternally occurring?
Well, you see, it wasn't anything you did, except kill these people. Because they no longer have identities, you can't tell who they were, where they were, when the murders took place, because they're always taking place and always have been. So you also can't tell the method. You just, when you ask who's responsible, you are.
What level miracle was a change of murder?
Changes are level 6 for lesser changes and level 9 for major changes.
Woof. Well then.
Really puts the demi in demigod, huh?
Yeah.
To put it in perspective, the miracle that Dosk performed to undo Palaran was, not a level 9. It was higher than that because of penetration and stuff, but it was a major change.
Yeah.
And it had consequences.
Just a couple.
Okay.
So You seem to have hit the limit of the information that you can get just from this level of divination on this, because the answers you're getting are accurate and clear. They're just unhelpful.
Yes.
And that seems to be a byproduct of the nature of these murders. And you certainly don't remember having murdered 100 people constantly. You're not stabbing anyone right now, but the murder is constantly ongoing.
Time to spend some miracle points.
No. I'm in charge of murder, so clearly I'm the one who committed these. Even though, logically speaking, it seems like they are an ontological underpinning of the chancel itself. Unclear. Kind of irrelevant. So yes, I finish my coffee. And I accompany Timothy.
So when you step outside following the acolyte, you immediately notice that the street looks different than it did the last time you left your house here in Fermata, but it doesn't look unfamiliar. It looks as though the street you lived on in Semerin had been cast into darkness and obsidian.
Huh.
The acolyte seems to take no notice and just walks on.
So is this a matter of, like, it looks the same, I just recognize it now?
Good question. Let me check your character sheet. I think this would be a sense scrutinize for 4 dice.
Pair of 3s.
You're thrown off at first by the difference in aesthetic. Cimarron was not a city of obsidian and silvery light. But, yeah, actually, now that you're paying attention to it, you just recognize it. This has always been Cimarron. It just was obscured to you before.
Boss, what the fuck?
There is
I
no
will mutter
particular
that to
answer.
myself. Of course. Why would there be?
In short enough order, the acolyte brings you to the manse. And so that's a good time for us to check in with our other two. Having awakened, what have the two of you gotten up to? I'll move that we start with Leorian then.
I accept that motion. So I untangle myself from the covers and the coat. I turn the coat back into a coat. I stretch very thoroughly. And then I head downstairs. I assume that I don't see Mavia there, so but that I perhaps do see an acolyte. So I ask.
You see an acolyte the moment you open the door to your room. The acolyte is standing there, seemingly tip of the nose, just resting on the door before you opened it, just waiting for you.
You are incredible at what you do, Timothy. I really hope people appreciate it. I know I do, but I'm just passing through. How are you? Good morning.
For the first time that you can positively remember seeing, an acolyte blinks slowly once. And then the acolyte says, "We are well. Did your lordship find the accommodations to your liking?"
Oh, yeah, great. I say unconvincingly. It's just lovely accommodations. It's great here. Is it not morning? Were you waiting because am I up at the wrong time? It's a little hard to tell with the, eternal pall of darkness and all, which is lovely. Don't get me
wrong.
The
acolyte very slowly tilts their head by about 5 degrees and then says, "What is a morning?"
Well, that's kind of a deep question, actually. So morning is what comes after the night. That kind of begs the question. Okay, I organize it by food. We had sort of a supper last night, and morning is when you have a breakfast, which, by the way, sounds excellent. Does that translate?
The acolyte bows slightly and says, "We shall prepare breakfast for your lordship," and then turns and starts walking.
And for you as well, I say, calling behind.
The acolyte gives no indication of having heard you.
I make sure to bring my loot down with me because I think it helps break the ice.
Maybe your morning.
I clamber down off the rooftops using my tendrils and see if I can just get a ping on where Ramnet is.
Approaching very rapidly. In fact, Ramnet, you turn a corner in time to see Mavia tendriling down from the rooftop onto the street.
Now, for those of me who have not really gotten a description of Mavia and tendrils, what the hell?
Robin, I leave this to you.
I was not prepared for this.
You're welcome.
So, whenever Mavia comes to the fore, adjacent shadows slither towards her and become part of an almost umbra to Lissa's body. They obscure everything from the nose up, except in this case, they've now formed a crown. They flow and ebb from her limbs. They trail behind her as a small cape. They form spiky armor in places. It's just a constant rippling of shadows in her direction.
Okay.
That she occasionally lifts herself
So
upon.
you would have seen this primarily in its more stable form as garments, something that maybe a kind of invented ad hoc on the battlefield. What she is doing now is more typical of her in previous experiences, using them as sort of a set of extra limbs in addition to arms and legs. Almost kind of Dr. Octopus style.
Sure.
Yes, that is a very good comparison. Doc Ock, but a billion times more frightening.
Sure. Needless to say.
I don't know, that bowl cut was pretty scary.
Yeah, true. Maybe approaches bowl cut levels of terrifying.
Approaches, but never quite arrives. Yeah, sure.
In any case. So yeah, that's what you have seen clambering down off the roof as you turn the corner.
Well,
as you turn the corner, Mavia's head swivels to lock eyes on you.
congratulations on being the most unnerving thing I've seen this morning.
Congratulations on being late.
I am here when I mean to be. I needed to have coffee.
And there are matters in Lurenton that await our attention.
Yes, you left that record on my countertop. I am instructing the Timothys to replace it, as well as to leave something that you can write upon in the future that will not be indelible upon my countertop.
The message I left on your countertop was for Fermata. Since I had time, I wandered around and looked after things.
How good of you.
Uncharacteristically so.
An acolyte exits the manse behind where the two of you are talking.
Internally, this one doesn't understand sarcasm.
The acolyte approaches from behind, giving Mavia a pretty wide berth, and bows in both of your directions, saying, "Breakfast is being served to your guest in the manse, my lord, my lady."
I hiss to dismiss them, and then the tendrils pop out of my cape again, and I just scramble in the direction of the manse.
Also, for what it is worth, Robin, you do not ping off of me, or rather, I do not appear to you as if I am in fact divine. That is correct, Adam?
Correct. Mavia has the sense of familia from Romnet prior to you waking up. Now, indistinguishable from any particular mortal to the eyes and other senses. Leorian, you are seated at the table, an impassive acolyte seated across from you with a plate of bacon and eggs and toast, I guess, and a pewter cup of probably orange juice. Let's go with orange juice. Sitting untouched while you begin your breakfast. Just as you are about to take the first bite of bacon, the doors burst open and Mavia comes scrambling in on tentacles, just as another...
I once again displace the acolyte seated at the table and begin not so much to eat as thrash the food.
For the acolyte's part, once they've picked themselves up off the floor, they give you an extremely reverent bow and a pronounced, "Thank you, your ladyship." And then...
I will ask for a plate for myself before Timothy runs away.
The acolyte bows to you more hurriedly and says, "Of course, my lord," and moves about as fast as you've ever seen an acolyte move out of the dining room towards the kitchen.
The my lord catches my ear. Does he look the same to me if I look through the sight?
Yes, looks the same as he ever has, which is to say, smoking void skull, relatively finely dressed, ornamentally pretty, but no different.
I think rather than letting it go, which would be the socially graceful thing, I say, "My lord, I didn't mean to be disrespectful. Yesterday, I thought they only called, us when we were. You don't. I mean, you're not bright. Though, mistake me not, sir. What you lack in brightness, you more than make up for in smokiness."
Around a unhealthy mouthful of bacon, I growl.
As you are saying whatever you were about to say, it is perhaps an honorific relative to my position within the church.
Oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Like I said, no offense intended. And rain check on that hug available whenever, though no pressure.
I appreciate that. If you want, you can have me roll lie. I will leave that to Adam and or Drew's.
I feel like probably everybody present understands the role of dishonesty in this conversation.
I think even I might understand a little. Yeah.
So Mavia has finished her breakfast by now and may very well have swiped some from another plate nearby if it was not carefully guarded. Romnet, you have received a plate.
I target Leorian's plate.
Okay, here's a fun thing. Leorian, do you attempt to guard your breakfast even by intent?
I probably instinctually do.
Yeah, you scrabble at the edge of his Octoritas instead of actually getting to his plate.
I'm taken up by this. I was 0% ready for the attack, such as it was, and I say, "Oh, they'll bring you more."
I keep trying for his plate without expending any miracle points.
I sort of look at her sidelong and then scoot the plate over, and then
the food is gone from it almost immediately.
Can I also eat the
Yes,
plate?
of course you can also eat the plate.
What the fuck?
Was I going to say no, you can't eat the
it's
plate?
probably something helps your tentacles keep their sheen.
It's vitamin P. Presumably, Leorian, if you want more, you can get more from the acolytes, and Romnet, you eat your breakfast. Is there anything in particular that is a matter of discussion at breakfast, or do we move on relatively expediently?
Expedience it is. Unless Romnet wants to drag it out, that's your prerogative.
No, I think I will offer everyone mercy.
Thank you.
Breakfast having been finished, the acolytes having made themselves scarce, presumably it is now down to Navia's insistence that matters in Laranton be seen to.
Yes. Can I attempt, like, if I were to hypothetically try to loop at least Romnut into a tendril and then start to drag him towards the city gates, could I do that?
That is entirely up to Romnet. If you decide to use an Octoritas, like to make use of your Octoritas here to prevent yourself from being tentacle grabbed, then you can. It will just be obvious what is happening. But you can permit it, especially since
I will
Nadia is
permit
under Familia. Yeah.
Yeah, I picked up that he was trying to keep it quiet.
Yeah, so Romnut, you find yourself looped in a shadow tendril pretty unceremoniously and hauled toward the gate. Though Bavia has the courtesy not to drag you, you are suspended in the air by this tendril. Leorian?
A privilege afforded only to Familia.
Yeah, I follow behind, both, perhaps feeling left out, but also a bit relieved to not be embraced in that particular manner.
And besides which, this is probably your best shot at leaving the city. So
I gather up my belongings. I bid every Timothy I encounter lavish thanks, and
you encounter no Timothys. They are conspicuously absent from your path.
Okay. I possibly call out for them a few times.
There's no response.
Okay. Somehow I take this to be a good thing. They're recovering from an unusually social evening and morning.
The Timothys are all introverts.
Yeah, they had a good time. This drained their battery. They need a little Timothy time. It's fair enough.
So they're playing Elden Ring. Also, for the record, the image that my brain conjured of that was of like a bunch of acolytes packed onto a couch, and one of them with the controller, but all of them making the same finger movements.
That's weirdly adorable.
That's great.
It's a little bit horrifying and
Acolytes
entirely
stream channel.
appropriate. Oh god, it's
If we could get our shit together to be a VTuber, that's what we would do, I think.
This is the second time that you have mentioned that, and I am a quarter out from summer break, so be careful what you put in my head.
Ooh. Have I said that specifically before? Okay, I thought I dreamed that and hadn't said it out loud. Okay.
Because it reminded me of a TikTok that I found that talks about some free software that can be used for that purpose.
No, I think the last time your exact words were, because what we need to add to this is puppetry.
I didn't say that. Yeah, okay. It's all coming back now.
In any case. Maybe you haul Romnet to the gate square, Leorian. You follow the statue, remains the same as it was last time. Though with the acolytes no longer hemming the square in, the citizens are now using it as they ever do. People sitting and chatting, eating meals, meeting up, walking by. The square is decked out in these silvery metallic flowers. Romnet, you, as you are being borne aloft through the city, are remembering everything. This is just Cimarron. At least it seems to be just Cimarron, but cast in obsidian and darkness and silvery light looming everything. Although, looking at the sky, which used to be just a perfect void, you can't quite figure out what's going on up there, but it's like it's pinging on something faintly in your brain. You're just not sure.
Okay. Like, what's... Is this pinging as in I can make a roll, or just it is pinging something, please note that for some time?
Not a roll yet. Maybe
All right.
maybe it will get there as it comes back to you. We'll see. So, maybe you approach the gates.
I tell them to bring me to Lurenton. I will them more so than speaking out loud.
Interestingly, they're not the same tutelary spirits that were there before. Everything looks the same, but these are different. They're smaller. They're less. They're less. They're almost mindless.
Do they work?
Well, interestingly, as you approach, you just shove one and it opens. But Lurenton is not on the other side. Rumnet, you see through the gates the outskirts of Severin. This little gate village that used to be there. It's quaint. It's on stilts, and there are wooden walkways, and you can see the marshland, kind of spreading out around the city. This is the southern gate out of Severin, but the gate village is abandoned. It looks like it's been weathered for better part of a year, maybe. Not anything too drastic, but certainly neglect. And no sign of movement anywhere. It's early morning through the gate.
This is an out of character
Yes.
question for purely my curiosity. Where is
You have
Cimarron
no idea.
and Taraxis? Fun. Okay. I suspected that might be the answer, but I had to ask to be sure. I'm going to, say it's for the listener's benefit.
Let the record show that I, Drew, was squinting at the official map, not finding it. So,
As was I.
Welcome to things that have been hidden on my character sheets in session 1.
Yep. So, would I be correct in presuming that we proceed through the gates despite the unexpected vista?
I sure have no grounds to object.
Fair enough.
I'll try a lesser creation of fury. I suspect I know what the answer will be, but I'm going to try to make what is left of the tutelary spirits and their lesser state angry about being so diminished and insist that they bring me to the right location.
They basically don't respond.
I carry Ramnet through the gates.
All right. Exiting the gates, Ramnet, you are perfectly aware of where you are. You are in the Seru River Delta. You are at the edges of the Great Sump. You can see, leading away to the south, a poorly maintained road that once upon a time led to the Calavan Ferry that would take people and cargo across to the city of Calavan. And you know that if you go out of the north gate, you will hit another sort of navigable part of the delta that has boats that go up past the Stymied back towards Selthen and sort of the interior of Taraxis. But there's no sign that humans have been here for some time.
I probably put Ramnet down at this point as I attempt to get my bearings.
You're standing on wooden planking. You can turn around. There are the gates. You can see a city wall there, but very little else. The city wall is obsidian, but there's no dramatic dome of darkness or anything. What you do notice very quickly, though, is that there are very large trees of the type that you might find in the Stymied scattered loosely around the city. They are hundreds of feet tall. But there aren't a lot of trees around here. The Great Sump, mostly grasses and shrubs. These trees are in evidence only in the area around the city as you look around, but they are quite impressive. Leorian, for your part, you probably haven't been in the Great Sump before because there's not really a lot here, but you would recognize that that's where you were. You've certainly seen it from ships on the river and on the sea. You've been in the geography around Calavan and Theret, where the Great Sump is, nearby geography.
Can I see, given that I have the World Walker gift, where the edges of the chancel actually are and where the gates in and out might actually be now, assuming that they have changed?
Well, so what you can perceive is that if you do it at night, these gates will lead you back into Fermata. It's unclear what, if anything, is on the other side of them now.
Okay.
Where's Lurenton?
Well, are we... This isn't where we came in, but isn't this... Are we... Where are we? This seems like the Great Sump.
We're outside of... I say Semerin, and it probably comes out for Mata.
To your surprise, you successfully say Semerin. It is perhaps a little hesitant.
Oh, is that... So we're not in the Great Sump. Where's... What is Cimmerian?
I'll just point at the...
Speak sense.
There
Sorry, go on.
there was a city called Semerin here. There appears no longer to be. Instead, there appears to be Fermata.
Why?
Ask your boss.
The listener can't see me blinking repeatedly, but that is probably in character.
For the two of our player characters who have a sense of Taraxan geography and where they might be right now, you know that to your southwest by not too much is Calavan, and then due south of that by a couple days' travel, if you have a good horse anyway, is Lurenton, sort of the major settlement of the Vales. Well, I say that. There are a lot of settlements in the Vales. It's perhaps the most prosperous point on the road that grain takes from the Vales into Calavan.
Did we decide that Lissa had been to Calavan at some point? I know we said that she hadn't been to Theret.
Yeah, I believe that she had been to Calavan on a market day or two. Like, incidentally. That's my recollection.
Would Mavia intuit that?
She certainly could. If somebody says the word Calavan, you will...
I can probably
like, oh yeah.
that. Yeah, no, I mean, so... I know, the reason I know we might be in the Great Sump is because, if we are in the Great Sump, and assuming no shenanigans have happened with blurred realities, you're going to have to take the lead if that stuff's in effect or on the table. We're actually pretty near Calavan, which would mean we're not too far from Lurenton, at least by demigodly standards.
We should make haste, then.
Okay. Somebody point us southwest, I say, trying to line up that direction by visual information.
I look at Romnit.
Am I able to do that?
Certainly. The sun is in the sky. You can find southwest.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I was mostly going off of we left by the south gate, so...
Sure, and the road is still there. It hasn't disappeared. It's not especially easygoing, but you can follow the road. Presumably, the biggest obstacle here will be the major branches of the Seru River Delta, of which there is one between you and the other side of the river, basically. So, you set off. It is not a fun walk exactly, but within a few hours, demigods setting a pretty good pace, you get to sort of the banks of the major sort of delta split here of the Saru River, where the ferry used to run. On the near side, the side that you're on, there is a small rundown shack. On the far side, there is virgin wilderness. No sign that anybody has ever been there. There's certainly no evidence of a ferry.
You, Baron of Tempo, what can you do?
Let's see. I could make the river run faster or slower. Slower might be more useful now that I'm saying it. I could make us swim faster. I could change the season, maybe. That might be harder. I don't know what I can do, if I'm perfectly honest, the Furious Queen. You could make the water mad.
I could. I don't think that would serve us.
No. Now that I'm saying it, no.
It may serve me, perhaps, but not you. I guess I probably I give Leorian a scalding glare that he can just barely detect through the writhing shadows that are masking my eyes.
Let me assure you I can detect it.
And I just climb into the river with all the enthusiasm of a cat being faced with bath time. And then just start swimming across.
And it's not even like the current is very fast here. It's a delta. It's pretty chill.
Boy, were we overthinking it. I do spend that aspect miracle point, so I might even not swim across especially fast, but I do it one-armed because I keep my instruments above water with the other the entire time.
And again, with an aspect miracle, it is no special effort.
I will not spend the point because I don't have to, but I will also invoke that and swim. Maybe, making sure to be a bit slower than the others and so on.
Sure. In relatively short order, you all make the other bank. Apologies for making that seem like more of a challenge than it maybe should have been.
On the other side, though, I do a lesser creation of fury and make the water disgusted at being in contact with me.
It churns and froths and flows backwards for a moment. And you feel satisfied with this, I presume.
And I'm dried off, right? I briefly become water repellent.
Your clothes maybe are still damp to the degree that you have fabric on you. But nothing too major. And it's kind of a nice day. It's like, getting into the early spring of Traxxas, which doesn't have at this latitude particularly harsh winters. So you find yourself on the other shore, and for all that it looks like untouched wilderness, literally 2 minutes of walking in the direction of the Calavan Road, and you are on open plains. It is remarkably swift. Unnaturally so, perhaps. And here you can see, there's Calavan. You could get to it in 30 minutes of walking. There's the road, which if you hike on it, will bring you to the split in the road that will bring you to Lurenton.
I once again round on Leorian. I'm so sorry. And is there nothing you can do to make this faster?
Oh, I mean, nothing. I like what you did there. Yeah, well, sure. Absolutely. So let's see. What was the cost of the, I think of it as the Yakety Sax miracle, because I just made everyone walk fast, when the mob was at a full froth, in Ferret. That cost me 3 miracle points. God damn.
So there are two directions you could go here. 3 miracle points would actually make you move faster. And with authorization to enter the auctoritas's of the other nobilis, a level 1 ghost miracle would make it seem like you were going faster without actually taking less time. You would simply feel as though the tempo had increased. You would experience the trip more rapidly.
Well, I most certainly, I know on some level that I can do that. Although I, of course, don't have the mechanical words, and I say, I think I can do this quite efficiently if we could all simply bunch up.
God damn it.
I'm waiting for Des.
I mean, out of character, you could just murder the road.
I don't know that would have the effect that would be
I
the most
don't
helpful.
think...
That's a good point.
I think murder is mostly going to be a matter of involving people or spirits, but
Yeah, it has to be something that murder conceptually maps onto.
I mean, at some point I am going to try to create a bunch of crows.
You know, I will say this. For lesser effects, you do have what's called like an umbrella around your estate, right? Things that are related to murder, you have some control over.
Sure.
But there is, in some cases, a limit to what you can do with certain levels of miracles the further you get from the center of your miraculous portfolio. So making there seem to be a murder of crows would probably be a lot easier for you. It would cost a lot less energy than actually making there be crows there.
Oh, of course. But mostly it's for the joke.
Well, certainly. I also just didn't want the mechanics to be opaque to the audience.
Fair.
So, do we consent to bunching up and walking in sped up film vision toward Lurenton? All right. So, fortunately, you all are demigods. It does not require a lot of you to walk for a long time, especially since it doesn't seem like a long time. Experientially, it only really feels like an hour or two before you can see Lurenton in the distance, which means it is full daylight. And as soon as you lay eyes on the city, you can also see that the fallow fields where wheat would be growing have been replaced by dunes of sand. Not just the fields themselves. It's not like what was there has been retextured as sand. The geography has changed. The road has not. Dunes rise to either side, and it sometimes proceeds over one. But the landscape is desert.
Does the sight stir anything in me?
I feel like that's probably up to you.
I will look at Mavia and inquire whether this is Sirthan doing.
I feel like this is enough of a moving vision, even if maybe it kind of saw some desert encroaching previously when she was trolling her sister, or excuse me, Lissa. I don't remember which name I said. So I feel like this would be at least something that would cause Lissa to stir.
That feels reasonable. This is certainly distressing to the degree that she can perceive it. Whether this causes, a change in the driver's seat at this time is up to you, Robin, as player. But either way, Lissa might respond because both Ramnet and Leorian will have traveled the Vales, and this is the most fertile part of Taraxis in terms of agriculture. There are countless villages and hamlets and thorps and stuff scattered throughout these low rolling hills that grow all of the food for everywhere in Taraxis, more or less. And a number of larger market towns, of which Lurenton is the most prominent, being the last stop on the road to Calavan. and you can see the town, right around the time you can see the town, you can also see this desert.
So I think I'm going to
Okay.
have to roll. I'm not sure I'm going to have you tell me what to roll, because Lissa would definitely try to come back. However, Mavia sure as heck doesn't want her to.
Sure. Interesting. Let me see.
And to Ramnut, Mavia probably simply nods as she's having this internal conflict.
Let's go with a knowledge plus empathy of 4 dice. Knowledge because it's,
Okay.
your knowledge of this area. It's geography, but also the feeling. So
No matches.
So at this point, it would appear that Lissa maybe has not given up trying to take the wheel back, so to speak, but has not succeeded currently.
Would the other two see anything as this happens?
Probably not.
Speaking of seeing, with my spirit being what it is, when we bunch up, would I notice anything about Ramnet's divinity if I did not think to intentionally look?
That's a good point. I think if he was trying to resist this miraculous effect, you would see it.
Yeah, I'm not
but
resisting, but I am also trying very hard to... Don't look at me, I'm immortal. Don't look at me, I'm immortal.
Sure. So unless you are using the sight, if you use the sight while you're that close, you will see that he is in fact a nobilis now. But if you're not using the sight, you won't see it.
I probably do use the sight when I see the desert.
Um,
Do I see Ramnet out of the corner of my sight, or is that not how it works?
I don't feel like we established a marching order or anything here. My inclination is to say that you have to be leading the party to be doing this tempo thing, and if Ramnet is trying to use and as a player is trying to use this gift to remain incognito, my inclination is to go with that, until I have a particular reason why it can't, the performance, must fail. My inclination is to let it keep going. Besides which, the desert through the sight is pretty distracting, because it is, well, miraculously present. That might be somewhat obvious in retrospect, but there is miraculous power keeping it here. And in fact, in just this couple of minutes that you've been walking down the road through the dunes, the air has changed from temperate, kind of mild, to dry, and pretty hot. The quality of the sunlight seems to have changed. It's almost like you're in an entirely different biome than you were 40 feet back.
Well, that ain't right.
Well then, none the wiser about the power of murder in our party. I sling my coat over my shoulder.
I appreciate you all just sort of rolling with this.
It's more fun if we keep almost bringing it up. So. And I think we keep making our way. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I notice no outward change in Mavia.
Yeah, it's maybe midday now, which is a terrible time to be under the beating desert sun. And in relatively short order, you arrive at the outskirts of Lurenton. There are farmhouses. The landscape seems to have changed less, where there are human constructions, like the road, like the houses. There are even stables and pastures, but the pastures are all sand, and the animals look pretty forlorn. There are water troughs and mangers that are a little bit emptier than it seems like is ideal.
Can I perform like an estate-driven divination to get a sense of how much desert there is in the Vale at this point, like the tempo at which the desert is expanding? Or would that be like a full lesser divination?
I mean, that would be a lesser divination because estate-driven divinations only alert you to things that like your estate like pages you on.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
So if you want to spend the miracle point to do a lesser divination, you can get some information, but it's going to be vague because your estate does not touch on this process very heavily.
Totally. Yeah, no, I'll save the points for another bad decision.
You start to see people hauling water to troughs, hauling grain to mangers, people maintaining farm tools. The ones that look up see Mavia and just book wherever it is that they feel safest, they run to it. The ones that don't take no notice of you at all. Travelers even now are relatively common to and from Lurenton. Though you have not been particularly aware of other people on the road due to your ghost miracle. But as you come to the town proper, it's fairly large and prosperous for this kind of town. Most villages in the Vale are a couple hundred people. Most towns in the Vale are, 1,000 or two. Lurenton probably getting within spitting distance of 7,000 or 8,000 people if you count all the outlying farms. It's a prosperous place with a lot of people in it by the standards of the Vales. And you could tell as many roofs are tiled, slated, or shingled as are thatched. A lot of brick and stone in the construction as you get further in. There are more than one inn.
Can I do... We're going to do a lot of
Sure.
divinations this episode. Can I do a major divination to see what has caused the quiet fury of growing things to stop?
You can, but you run up against a very powerful Octoritas. That may be a little bit misleading, actually, because it doesn't feel like it's centered on an individual. It feels as though it rises out of the desert. Which may be your answer.
I turn... Yes. And the god's name was Sirtha?
Sirtha is to the north, and is dry, but dry like the Mediterranean is dry.
Okay.
This
was the other...
This is Ventis.
The desert to the south is
and the desert that is closest geographically is the Caroline Wastes, which sort of comes up to part of the Vales within a day's ride or so. And trade happens there and then is put onto ships on the Saru River to go to Selthan and Kaladin. But a lot of the traders themselves are Vale folk.
I was not around for Romnut and Dosk's adventures in terms of learning about Ventis versus Sirtha. So I just turn on Romnut and say, whatever this is certainly the work of a god.
And I believe, if I remember from listening back before, that Mott mentioned Ventis by name to you as Mavia, but did not specify who or what or where that was.
Okay.
Do
Good. I do have that
So
information.
Mott.
Then scratch that completely. I turn on Romnut and I say, this seems to be the work of Ventis.
Quite possibly. Do I recall Ventis' specific domains?
I don't know that you ever knew for sure what Ventis' specific domains were, but the obvious one is either the Caroline Wastes specifically or deserts generally. And you may roll lore to know more.
Sure.
is likely to be a success.
How's 3 9s?
You know of at least
Not
one
ungood.
song that calls the Lady of Trade by the name Ventis.
Okay.
Does he mention this? Because I don't know knowledge, but I do know music.
Yeah, I will mention.
It's possible I've heard the song, even if I have no idea what it means.
Yeah, I will mention that there is a song that names Ventis the Lady of Trade.
Could I roll to see if I could like recite the song by rote?
I suppose. Let me see what you would roll for that.
If I've heard it.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead and roll perform music. That's 6 plus an expert die. So you'll set that expert die to a value
Okay.
before and then roll.
In honor of Des, the expert die is at 10. And then here we go.
I mean, there is no reason to not set an expert die at 10.
Other than superstition.
And calling shots in combat.
Yeah, that too.
Mhm.
So we have got 3 4s.
Okay. You manage to perform as you are walking a verse and a chorus of a song that you remember the words to better than the tune, so you kind of improvise the tune a little bit, but you're pretty sure you got the words right. And yeah, sure enough, the end of the first verse talks about Ventis, Lady of Trade, bearing the gifts for my beloved to where he stays. Slant rhyme. Not a very popular song.
Yeah, I've never had much
Slant
success.
Rhyme.
Slant rhyme.
I was good.
Semicolon. Not a very popular song.
Yes.
Does this world have an
Befitting of
Emily
all things
Dickinson?
Slant Rhyme.
No, this world does not have an Emily Dickinson.
Yet.
Yet.
I love how insulted you sound.
Emily Dickinson is a 19th century American poet, and this is not anything like that setting.
I used to dance under the name Bronze Age Emily Dickinson.
What a weird performance that must have been.
Much like this song, I was not very popular.
Oh, Drew, you are a treasure.
Likewise, I'm sure.
So at this time, I would like another 4-die pool from Robin, knowledge plus empathy.
Yay. Ooh. Those are 3
Hey,
8s.
those are 3 8s.
All at once,
With some very good
the
camera work.
shadow falls away from Mavia. And Lissa is left standing there looking a little haggard, honestly. But gaping at a particularly fine house just off of the main square that you were passing by as you entered the center of town. Lissa, disoriented as you might be for any number of reasons, by far the most alarming thing is that you are standing outside of your sister's house.
I see Ramdan. I'm like, what happened? Where's who are you? Where's Apatia? Why, no, we can't be here. We gotta go.
You were Mavia
Running to
for
her side,
some
and I say-
time. This is
All
Leorian,
at once, there is an interruption from behind you, and you hear a conspicuously cultured voice says, "My word. Lissa, is that you? Have you come home?" Your sister was apparently out. She's behind you.
I was waiting for you to say, and that's where we will end our session, but you did not create them.
I absolutely thought the same.
I am not that nice.
Yeah.
I turn to her before you can say anything and say, hey, have a little respect for the furious queen who has just sustained an injury and shrunk. She's still quite large, if I may say so, my very large lady, and in a becoming way, of course.
So,
But she's a
out of-
queen.
I make myself
Okay.
glorious.
real quick, I have to scroll through Leorian's character sheet. It's new. I'm still figuring this out.
My character sheets, let the listener, as the listener may be aware, are a bit labyrinthine as well.
Yeah, I don't know what I was doing
bunch of
combining two different character sheets. It's not like there's already not a whole ton of information on there. So, from Leorian's perspective, the woman who has spoken seems, for a moment, to be about to tell you off. And then, seemingly with the reflex of a squid spitting ink, Lissa assumes the mantle of her glory. And the woman takes a step back and sort of covers her mouth. Standing next to her, with sort of a hand lightly on her arm, is a well-dressed man who only Lissa will recognize as her husband, who seems very out of his depth all of a sudden. Now, this gives us a beat in which I can describe the Lady Rowena Sinclair. She is coming back from market with a genteel basket over a genteelly held elbow. Her dress is of a red velvet. It has sort of a collarbone, sort of scoop neck all the way around that's decorated in beading. It has flowing sleeves. It's relatively flattering throughout, and it trails just above the dust of the road, allowing you to see her practical but very expensively decorated shoes. She's wearing around her middle a sort of metal-worked girdle that seems to be in bronze, but decorated with some silver and some semi-precious stones, and she wears a gold necklace with a gem pendant. Her hair is elaborately braided and has a couple of little lace ornaments in it, and she's wearing a very kind of classy, light makeup job, which is, in this town, pretty upper class. The man standing next to her, this is her husband, Urian. Now, Lissa, you haven't seen Urian in some years. For almost as... You haven't seen Rowena in almost as long. But the last time that you saw Urian, he was still living down the shame of his punishment for helping the farmhands around the Sinclair estate. So the last time you saw him, he was wearing homespun boots, a straw hat. He had barley in his hair. Now, however, he is wearing a silken doublet dyed in rich green, and he is wearing flatteringly trimmed trousers in black wool, and he is wearing a large silver medallion inset with jade that you know to be a sign of the office of headman, of which there are 3 in Lurrington. He's one of the sort of 3 town mayoral councilors, as it were.
Hi, muckety muck.
In his face, you primarily see the discomfort that you saw when he was being chastised by his parents for getting his hands dirty around the estate. He and Rowena are both regarding you with something approaching disbelief, and are summarily ignoring both Romnet and whoever this other person is.
I was straighten myself and say, "Hello, sister. Brother-in-law. You both look as manicured as I remember. You're still wearing my necklace. Where's Dosk?"
Rowena blinks twice rapidly and says, "Pardon, who?"
I will turn to
My...
Lissa and say, "He's gone."
Gone where?
I open my mouth as though to correct Romnet, but then, at least for the moment, I don't.
This is Leorian, Dusk's Duke of Tempo. Or Baron of Tempo.
Baron. Yes, I've heard the soundless sound of his wordless word. I've remade myself to the measure of the null set. My path is his. Pleasure to meet you.
I don't understand what's happening.
Rowena says, I suppose that makes 5 of us. And she looks like she's about to say something else when Urian cuts in and says, would you care to take tea? And he gestures toward the house. And Rowena glares at him, but says nothing.
Yes, Urian, thank you. As gracious as ever. Even despite the... I miss when you had dirt under your fingernails, if I may say so myself, and I give a side eye to my sister.
You can see in her face that she would like to hiss, but she is not. Urian, for his part, just looks even more embarrassed and covers it by giving a bow and gesturing everyone inside.
I walk with the stiff dignity of someone trying to keep their shit together and blink rapidly to fend off tears at whatever is going on right now.
I watch Lissa carefully as though I think she could collapse or could resprout tentacles at any moment.
She could.
Everyone enters the house. It's quite nice. It's nothing on Lid Manor, of course, but in terms of village, small town houses, it doesn't get much nicer than this. This is the Sinclair townhome. They have a manor house outside of town, surrounded by grounds and worker housing, but it's not as nice as this. It's large, it's well appointed, but it's, this is the real showpiece. This isn't as roomy even as the manor outside of town, but it is carefully arranged just so. Rowena manages to be the perfect hostess while also dripping acid and not really trying to hide it. Urian, for his part, seems like he would rather be almost anywhere else right now, but this is his house, so he can't really go anywhere else. However, it's Rowena's job as the woman of the house to prepare the tea, which leaves Urian entertaining guests. And he says, as an opener, well, Lissa, you seem to have... And then pauses and casts about for words for a second, and then raises his eyebrows and says, come up some in the world, I think?
I appreciate the compliment and all that must mean to the family, but it's a bit more complicated than that. I'm gonna shoot myself into Rowena's head and attempt to scald her hand while she's pouring tea.
Interesting.
I
was not prepared for contested wills here.
My hope is that, she'll yelp or have some sort of reaction. I guess I could have just yelled, but that doesn't really cross my mind right now. I just want some sort of reaction from her that will get Urian to go and check on her with haste.
Let me make a roll for her to see if this works. You do manage to pour some boiling water just barely over the side of her thumb that's holding the I guess first of the teacups. But it's not very much, and she jerks her hand away and she goes and then looks at her hand, and she whispers to her reflection in the window in the kitchen, "What are you doing?"
I make her yelp. Or attempt to.
Yeah, let me make a roll for her here. You get a sound out that does draw Urian's attention, but she bites down on her tongue rather than make an undignified sound. It draws blood.
I shoot back into my own self to see if Urien actually gets up to go check on her and say,
He
Oh, good.
does. By the time you're already back, he gets up and he says, "Darling, are you okay?" And she calls back and she says, "Just fine, Urien. Please entertain our guests." Just a slight hint of a lisp from a swollen tongue. Urien, for his part, looks a little crestfallen and turns back and says, "Well, it's certainly good to have you. Would you care to introduce your companions? They look like..." And he sort of looks up Romnet and then down Leorian at the relative finery that Romnet is wearing and the relative anonymity of the clothing that Leorian is wearing. Not actually that different from what middle-aged and older men in the village wear. And notes the road dust and such, on the clothing, and he says, "I'm sure they're important people in their own right."
Yes. This is my friend Romnut. He is the prophet of the Obsidian God. I am the Duchess, Queen of Fury. That's new. And this is my new friend, Leorian. And I extend an arm and kind of pull him close in an embrace that's like partly like, I know I don't know you, but also
For the love of God, play along.
I'm sorry we're getting off on the wrong foot and that you dealt with my other half prior to this. I'm much nicer.
I had slightly gotten used to Mavia, but I'm already starting to like Lissa. I return the half hug. And I say, yes, Leorian Cathar, lately of the House of the Discerning Patron, out of Calavan, a humble player, but even more lately, the Baron of Tempo, in the service of Dosk, Imperator of Nothing, Negator of the Unjust Order.
Can you give us a moment? Your host skills are as gracious as ever, but I need to catch up on some things and figure out what's going on.
Urien spends that whole time looking as though he is watching an oncoming train rather than moving out of the way. And then when you say that, he gets this look as though Superman has swept him off of the tracks into the top of a building and has looked deeply into his eyes, romantic music swelling. And he goes, "Oh, of course. I'll see if Rowena needs any help in the kitchen." And he points at the bedroom and then turns toward the kitchen and, heads that way.
Forgive me, Leorian, but you're catching me under some unusual circumstances. Dosk is an imperator now?
Yes, is the short answer. The longer answer would be yes. He is.
Oh, we're gonna revisit that in a moment, and my tears start, I start welling with more tears, and I look at Ram and I'm like, "Is it still standing? What happened to the beach on the army? The army on the beach?"
I realize this is quite a conversation and create a ghost miracle so that it's going to seem like we have more time to talk than perhaps we do.
Excellent. And we can expedite the backup or the recap for Lissa's sake so we don't have to.
Sure. Urien stays gone for a while, and Rowena has certainly had time to make tea by the time it's done. And right as the recap winds down and Lissa is silently absorbing some of this information, Rowena sweeps in graciously with a tea service, relatively fine quality, and serves everyone just so. Urien has his little cap in his hands and is sort of like kneading it nervously, and once all the tea is served, he says, "Please, shall we have a seat? I'm sure your travels will make for a fine story." And Rowena purses her lips and nods.
I flop on the nearest settee and prop my feet up on it, shoes still on.
You fancy that you can hear Rowena's teeth grinding, but it's probably just your imagination.
In case it needs to be said, I have raised the veil of slowed tempo, realizing that Lyssa does not want to spend one moment longer with these people than is absolutely necessary.
Certainly.
I do drink the tea, though.
It's quite good. Surprising, actually, in its quality for a village of this size, although you, upon reflection, realize that what must be happening is that they're getting this direct from the Carolyn Wastes. This is a family that can afford not to resell to Calavan all of their, sort of choice tea, among other things. Looking around the room, that impression is reinforced. These are quite well-to-do people.
I try not to look too impressed because I'm on Lyssa's side here.
Certainly. Rowena is busy mastering her distaste, but Urian takes valiantly to the forward and says, sorry, apologies, that is, that you've come at such an odd time. I am certain you noticed the changes to the landscape. It's rather got everyone on edge.
I believe that is how I ended up here, albeit against my will. I guess we're here to fix your desert situation. I take a sip of my tea, and it rattles violently against the saucer before I make it reach my lips.
And you wish it were alcohol?
Yes.
Urian sits up and says, oh, well, that's wonderful news, right, darling? And Rowena, sort of sitting up straight, raises her chin slightly and says, yes, quite. I'm sure that Alyssa's friends will be able to assist us in whatever manner we require. What do you know about the problem here?
It's just that it's literally God causing your issues, but it's okay. Apparently, we took one out just... How many days has it been again? I look at Romnut.
Less than one.
Less than 1 day. Less than 1 day prior. A whole day?
You might have heard that Therat was besieged.
Rowena nods, and Urian kind of goes, oh, yeah.
It is no longer.
And
additionally, the what was the
Shadowed
Blighted
Lands?
Shadowed Lands, excuse me. Additionally, the Shadowed Lands are no more.
Urian's eyes tried to climb to his hairline. Rowena, however, narrows her eyes and says, oh, no more. They've been burned, perhaps?
And nothing ginged, I believe.
I'm sitting up as though I'm an evangelical and someone else has brought up Jesus.
I gesture to you to take the reins.
Yes. Well, we're all, of course. I don't mean to take away from any of the other powers involved, but yes, my god, Dosk, removed the Shadowed Lands and their god from the picture in a single mighty blow and became a god in the bargain. So it would seem that gods are more vulnerable than one might think.
I merely dealt with the army on the beach.
Rowena blinks once slowly, kind of like in the meme. But Urian looks between Leorian and Lyssa. Leorian, Lyssa, and then goes, I beg pardon, your god killed a god?
He wasn't. He. That was prior to his promotion.
That was the cause of his promotion.
I'm really happy. Oh, that was the cause of his promotion. Thank you, Romnut.
Well, I see. He clearly doesn't. Actually, see.
It is not something
Rowena has gotten.
It is not something, perhaps, that needs to be worried about. It being, the business of gods, and I will nod to either side of me as if to point them out as not me, and demigods.
Yes, we don't mean to bore you with the ins and outs of divine affairs. There's squabbling up there as there is down here. That's none of your concern. We simply meant to establish our bona fides. We, I believe, are capable of handling your desert situation.
And helping your workers get their situation improved. I've noticed the fields, they look horrible.
Urian nods, and Rowena says, in that they've been replaced with dunes, yes, but do have a look at the nighttime view. Her eyes are sort of sparkling in a way that you find a little incongruous.
Mm-hmm. Astonishing, Rowena. I didn't know that you paid any mind to the fields, much less what they look like.
I perform a ghost miracle so that all of her repartee is just a little bit off timing.
This does happen. However, the words, the content of those comments remain the same. And she says, you might be surprised at everything you don't know, sister. You've been gone for quite some time, hammering rocks. And whatever else, she gestures at the three of you, you've been up to. But grandmother has been making something of the family elsewhere while we've been seeing to things here.
We've encountered her.
Charming
lady.
Yes, I believe she's having some sort of rendezvous routinely with Dosk's uncle of all people, and also my uncle now too. He gave me permission.
Rowena's smile goes a little bit brittle, and she sort of hesitates to say, yes, well, I'm sure that we can discuss all that when grandmother returns.
I sip my tea and focus very much on the color of the liquid within my cup.
After a beat of silence, Urian claps his hands and says, well, it's certainly been lovely to catch up, and I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about soon, but surely we should, and he looks at Rowena and tries not to sound like he's asking a question, surely we should provide some rooms, and her eyes narrow, and he says, in the finest inn in town for our guests. And she nods once and says, of course, I'll speak to our staff about it. And
oh, excellent. I've always enjoyed the company of the innkeepers. Such great stories to tell if you actually take the time to, speak to those that work for a living.
Rowena's smile comes back and she says, yes, I'll have to take your word for it, I'm sure. In the meantime, please do make yourselves at home. It looks like you've had a very, very long journey. And she glances significantly at Lissa's shoes on the settee, and she says, so please take whatever time you need to get freshened up.
I tap my boots together to kind of dust them off before sitting up and say, I think I'm freshened up enough. Which inn would you recommend that we stay?
They will set you up with rooms at the Honeydew Inn, run by Master Owain.
Oh, excellent. I have such fond memories of Master Owain. I'm sure. Preferred pronouns.
He.
Pronouns. He. Oh, okay. I'm sure he's going to be very eager to catch up.
Rowena answers with a and a lifted chin and eyebrows. A show
well,
of
then,
disinterest.
I stand up and I brush myself off and I say, sister, it was lovely to see you as ever, I suppose. And I offer a ghost miracle of a hug. Not a literal ghost miracle, but the human mortal equivalent.
There is, however, a literal
the
ghost
Christian
miracle
side
where
hug.
The dust lingers around her in a cloud.
An ephemeral hug that is not quite.
With maximum awkwardness and passive aggression, you make your goodbyes and head out of the house. Lissa, you know where the Honeydew Inn is, and you head there straight away. Master Owain is not in evidence, but his staff sees you to rooms, two. They give you one for the gentleman and one for the lady. Very expediently, very kindly, with a lot of courtesy, but everything is very brittle. Everyone is very on edge. And I think that while it is not dramatic, that is a pretty good time for us to call it here, and we can begin our investigation into the desertification of the Vales next time in earnest. In the meantime,
The
everyone can
Sandifaction.
receive 1 mortal XP.
Woo.
One more mortal XP for me, and then I'll be spending some.
What will you be spending? it
With that,
You'll have to tune into future
Listen.
episodes.
sounded
Stay tuned.
so ominous, too.
That was the perfect reaction. Oh, goodness.
But this will conclude this session of Dice Punks. Thanks for joining us. I hope our players and listeners enjoyed it as much as I did, and that you'll all join us again next time. If you're hearing us now, then you probably know where to listen to this, but we can be found almost any place one can listen to podcasts, as well as on the wider web at dicepunks.com and on Twitter as @dicepunks. With that, I think we're ready to say farewell, so say goodbye to the kind folks at home, players.
Thanks for listening. And I mean, you shouldn't sit around expecting your friends to fundamentally change, but it seems like sometimes they change a lot pretty suddenly.
Thanks for listening, everyone. And remember that the blood of the covenant you make with your friends is thicker than the water of the womb.
Thank you for listening, and remember that in every conversation, you can make it so that there are sides.
Very good. And as the poet once said, how long will it take until everything's ruined and everything's gone? Thank you, dear listeners, for tuning in, and stick around through the admin stuff for RomNet's new feature, A Murder. The songs in this episode, Theme of the Dice Punks and its acoustic version, were written and recorded by the Baron of Tempo in his element, Drew. Cover art is by Joanne, who appeared on the podcast a couple of times. Check out her work around the internet, where she goes by Anything So's Embroidery. Site design and graphics for dicepunks.com are by Robin, player behind Mavia, the unconquerable Furious Queen. And Lissa, of course. Rain and the One Royal Engine it runs on were created by Greg Stolze, whose work can be found in a lot of cool places, including gregstolze.com. Nobilis was created by Jenna Caterin Moran and can be found alongside much of her other really intriguing work, both in and outside of tabletop role-playing at afaransunlessland.wordpress.com. Also, I just found out that she's got a new game, The Flood, coming out on DriveThruRPG in the coming months, so check that out, and if it appeals, you can pre-order it. Links to both systems and authors can be found on the Punk Grimoire section of our website, dicepunks.com. Thanks so much for listening. If you liked what you heard, that's reward enough on its own, but if you're so inclined, you can help us out by rating and reviewing us wherever you listen to us, telling your friends who you think would like us to give us a listen, and even by heading over to our Patreon at patreon.com/dicepunks. We have fun rewards available to backers, including a patron-only Discord and access to the Dice Peaks after show for episodes 1 and following. Regardless, we hope you'll tune in again, and until then, remember, subtlety is for cowards.
In the desert of, well, perhaps it is better not to specify. Part of murder is getting away with it. So, in a desert, there is a body, desiccated and alone. The heat did not kill them. Their friend did. It was a petty squabble, a tragedy, a waste of decades of camaraderie. A moment of rage struck just too true. 2 sets of tracks, and the sand became one, and no one was carried.